Biden's Social Security trap. The president is setting himself up for a legacy different from the one he imagines. In the battle over Social Security, round 1 goes to Joe Biden. But that victory may set him up for defeat in round 2. This month, before a State of the Union television audience of 27 million Americans, the president succeeded in baiting Republicans to cheer when he declared that Social Security and Medicare weren't to be touched. That came only moments after the boos he received from some Republicans for accusing them of wanting to do just that. On MSNBC's Morning Joe, Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer was quick to gloat. He rope-a-doped them. A few days later, Senator Rick Scott, R.F.L., bowed to reality by explicitly excluding Social Security and Medicare from his proposal to sunset all federal legislation every 5 years, which had been the basis for Mr. Biden's claim that Republicans are gunning for the safety net programs. So it was a political victory, in terms of defining both the issue and the opposition to the president's advantage. But it remains a victory that threatens to backfire on him when reality catches up. The Congressional Budget Office quietly pointed to this reality with a new report projecting that Social Security will become insolvent by 2032, earlier than expected. The CBO report also projects the Medicare Hospital Insurance Trust Fund will be exhausted by 2033. In this context, Mr. Biden's success in making it impossible even to talk about Social Security reform may end up leaving him with a legacy quite opposite to the one he imagines for himself. The president may think he's buried the issue and cemented his image as the great defender of Social Security, says Charles Blahus, senior research strategist at George Mason University's Mercatus Center. But if he's elected to a second term, it will come back to bite him. Mr. Blahus knows firsthand the political perils of Social Security reform. In the George W. Bush White House, where he eventually served as deputy director of the National Economic Council, he worked on the failed 2005 reform that would have given younger workers the option of putting a percentage of their payroll taxes into personal retirement accounts. He later served as a public trustee for Social Security and Medicare, and he writes often on the subject. The mythology on the left is that we can come together and fix it at the last moment, Mr. Blahus says. But in 1983, the last time Democrats and Republicans came together on Social Security reform, the shortfall was relatively small and surmountable. This time, at the point when the trust funds run out of money, the deficits will be enormous. Bipartisanship is a must, given that neither party wants to own the painful fixes alone. But Mr. Blahus says that Democrats enjoy a political advantage as the historic defenders of Social Security. So without buy-in from the president, Republicans will get nowhere. Which explains where we are today. Mr. Bush couldn't get it done despite having campaigned on the issue during the 2004 election and enjoying Republican majorities in the House and Senate. To imagine Speaker Kevin McCarthy could today push through an even tougher reform with a slim and divided majority in the House is a pipe dream. For Mr. Biden, the easiest thing now would be to continue to cast himself as heroically protecting Social Security from the evil Republicans. It is also the likeliest, because it's what he's already doing and it's working politically. But the price is high, because it delays even talk of necessary fixes until the problem becomes virtually insoluble. Ever since Franklin D. Roosevelt introduced Social Security, the program has been popular with Americans because they pay into it and do not regard it as a government benefit. Mr. Biden noted as much in his speech. Americans have been paying into Social Security with every single paycheck since they started working, he said. Those benefits belong to the American people. They earned them. Democrats have always counted on this structure to insulate Social Security from the congressional give-and-take that goes with the funding of other federal programs. But if Mr. Blahus is right, waiting until the 2030s to rescue Social Security from insolvency will have to include more funding from general tax revenue, not merely a hike in payroll taxes and some cut in benefits or change in eligibility. When that happens, it will be harder to pretend it's just another government program. In theory, President Biden could continue to ignore Social Security's problems, Mr. Blahus says. But if he wants a second term, and if CBO is correct and Social Security becomes insolvent in 2032, it will be far too late to save it after he leaves office. He'd go down in history as the Nero of Social Security, fiddling while the program was burning down.